Hello! In this video, we're going to talk about how to calculate something called the standard deviation. Standard deviation is a measure of spread. The simplest measure of spread that we will have is something called the range. And I've kind of added that in here to your guided notes. Range, a lot of times you'll see as a capital R. And we're going to calculate by using that as the highest value in your data set minus the lowest. So it's a very, very simple measure of spread, okay? Or if you'd like me to say it as max minus min, same thing, okay? So that's range if you have to calculate that. Pretty simple calculation. Okay, so the new kid on the block today is something called the standard deviation. So standard deviation is calculated to find the average distance your data points are from the mean, okay? And it says that up here at the top too, is used to tell how far on average any data point is from the mean. Okay, so we're trying to measure and figure that out. Okay, so I went ahead down here and I've given us an example where there's some test scores. Okay, and I went through there should be 10 of those. I just added those up and calculated the mean. Okay, and you could do the same. You could put those in your calculator into L1 if you want to, and have it do the sum and then divide by 10. But I found this average here to be 66, and that's for our 10 numbers. Okay, so there's a couple things you could do. If you want to, you could take these numbers. I went ahead and wrote them in this first column. You could load those into your L1, okay, on the calculator. And again, you don't have to do this, just a suggestion. Then we could go up into the title on the calculator of L2 and highlight that and tell it a little formula. You could tell it L1 minus, in this case, 66, which is going to be your mean. So then if you press enter, the calculator will fill L2 with those distances or the differences from the mean. So in other words, you're telling the calculator to do 22 minus 66. So the first value in that column should be a negative 44. Or if you continue, 99 minus 66. And you can certainly do this by hand. This is not a big deal. I was just throwing the calculator in there as an option. Okay, so this is what I'm doing by hand. Okay, going through here and doing this calculation. Okay, so we're finding out how far each of these particular data points or test scores is from the mean. Okay, because you got to think about if the mean is truly in the center here at 66, and you're measuring 22. If I'm thinking like a number line, here's 22. So we're finding out how far this is across here. So it's 44 units, and I put a negative sign on there to tell everybody, hey, that's 44 units to the left of the mean. Okay, so that's what that's doing. It's given us a direction. Let me finish writing these differences in here. Negative 37. Okay, all right, so maybe something is bothersome to you. First time I taught this, I thought, you know, that's all great. We figured out the distances from the mean, so we're either left or right. But if I'm finding a distance from something, okay, like we said up here at the top, distance can't be negative, okay? So upon a little more study, what statisticians do is they take these distances, like the negative 44, and they square them. Because as you know, anytime you square a number, it becomes positive. So we're going to... Okay, that's the first one in a video, and no, I don't have COVID. That was just a little sneeze. All right, because my air conditioner kicked on here at the house. All right, so I'm just going to go down through here, and I'm going to square all my numbers. And I apologize, excuse me for sneezing. All right, so let's keep going here. I hope you're kind of laughing, because that is kind of funny. 225... 16 and 1369. Okay, so these are the squared distances from the mean. All right, so then the next thing you want to do is find the sum of these. Okay, and I left off a little step up here at the top. If you're trying the calculator version with me, you can actually make your L3 column turn into the L2 squared, and then if you press enter, it'll actually do this calculation for you. So that's sort of a cool thing to do. All right, so the next thing up is we want to sum. Okay, you want to find the sum of this column. Okay, so when I went down through there and I totaled that up, I came up with 8,338. Okay, all right, so then the next step in our calculation is to take that sum, 8,338, and we're going to divide by n minus 1. Okay, so there's on the bottom here, n minus 1. Okay, so divide by 9, because that would be 10 minus 1 is 9. And you get 926.4. Okay, so that value is also part of our calculation. That's called the variance. The notation for variance is going to be s squared. It's like a lowercase s, okay, because it's for a sample. Okay, so then to end up with our very final answer, the actual standard deviation calculation is going to be s, and all you have to do is you take the square root of the variance every time. 926.4, you take the square root, we get 30.4. That's your final answer. Okay, so to go from s squared to s, you're taking the square root. Okay, every time. Square root the variance to get the standard deviation. Okay, all right, so there we are with a nice calculation. Oh, if you want to, you are certainly welcome to, let's see, I could put this in red, this formula here, you are welcome to put on your formula sheet, okay, as well as this one here. So maybe you just want to write, in fact, I'll do this. I've been doing this in green for you guys. I would say s squared equals the sum of x minus x bar squared. So that's the sum of that third column we had. Divide by n minus 1. And then I would write that s equals the square root of s squared. That way you remember which one's which. Okay, so we have the variance first. We don't really do anything with it. It's just a step in the calculation. Then you take the square root of that, and that will give you your standard deviation. All right, all from here. Have a great day.